Well, hello everybody. I kind of vanished last week, didn't I? Sorry about that. I had that Thursday video coming out about the car, and like everything that I wanted to talk about whenever I started to do a video on here was just all about the car, and I didn't want to like spoil things because I had this big reveal planned, and I also just kind of wanted to I don't know. I just felt like I was talking about it all the time. When something big goes on in your life and it's just like all you want to talk about, that's basically what the deal was, and I didn't want to get sucked down that rabbit hole too far. So every time I started to record something, I just decided not to because I was like, all I want to talk about is the car right now. But so that's why I didn't post anything last week, and apologies for that. The car, I could talk about it now, I guess. I will say I am enjoying it more the longer I have it. When I first got it for the first, I don't know, maybe even the first week, but the first several days at least, there was a lot of just new car anxiety. There's a lot of like, I'm the type of person that like once I get my car cleaned, I am just sure I'm going to get into a wreck on the way home because that's just the kind of luck that I tend to have. But so there's that sort of constant, oh God, I don't want anything to happen to this car. And then there's also just the getting used to a new car. I mean, getting used to any new car, I think, takes a little bit of time. Getting over the muscle memory from the last car and getting used to where everything is here and getting used to the feel. Every car kind of has its own feel. And then you take that, and on top of that, there's this car that's basically just a computer. And so you kind of have to get used to a whole new computer user interface as well, and everything's just way different than any other car you've ever had before. So there was a big huge learning curve with this car that sort of tamped down the enthusiasm and the enjoyment that I had of the car, just because it was always this like cloud hanging over everything. But now that I'm getting more used to it, now that I'm kind of figuring out where things are, now that I'm getting used to the feel, and I'm starting to kind of bond with the car, for lack of a better word, I'm liking it. I'm liking it more and more. I like the fact that when I am taking a right turn on a busy street, that I can turn and get up to speed to the cars behind me like that, and it's actually a little bit safer, like I don't have to worry as much that somebody's going to run into the back of me because I know I can get up to highway speed in no time at all. And I did actually finally get it on the highway over the weekend. I hadn't actually gotten it on any of the interstates or anything. I just kind of drove around here, and I have to say it really surprised me how much safer I felt in this car, because you just have total control over this car in terms of how fast you're going. You can slow down without even taking your foot off the accelerator. It's just you can pull around people. It's just I was really amazed how much safer I felt because of that feeling of having more control over the car. And it's also kind of funny when you think about it that you have this car that's run by a computer, and yet you feel like you have more control over it. You're handing off more control over to a computer, and yet you feel like you have more control as you're driving, just because of the responsiveness of everything. So that's been great. I have an adapter coming, excuse me, for the charging situation. It's called a NEMA 620. It's a 6-20 outlet that's in my garage. I didn't talk about this in the video on Thursday where I released the car, but I did show my charging setup where it's just plugged into a regular outlet. And I got some comments from people that were like, that's probably not safe. It could be a fire hazard or whatever. You're probably losing some energy going through that cable. I haven't had any issues with it because I got a very thick cable. It's like a 12 gauge cable for that very reason. But no, I've got an adapter coming that should fit into that NEMA 620 outlet. And according to the Tesla website anyway, it should give me 3 times more 3 times faster charging than what I'm getting right now, assuming this outlet works. I've never used it. I've lived in this house for 10 years. I've never touched that outlet because it's just out there. I have a feeling whoever lived here before maybe had a table saw that was plugged into it or something, some kind of equipment out there. But anyway, it's supposed to get here on Friday, and I'm curious how much faster it's going to charge. If the outlet works at all. It might not even work at all. If not, then I'll have to call an electrician or something. But But I mean, even as it is right now, it's charging 5 miles an hour. And so, I mean, that's like 60, 70 miles overnight. And I'm not driving anywhere remotely that much. During the day, I might drive 10 or 15 or so. And then I charge it the next night, and it just builds up. And it's fine. It's fine. But, you know, if I have the capacity for charging a little bit faster, it'll be worth it. Maybe eventually in the long run, I'll get the big fancy charger that they have, but I'm not that concerned about it. I'm more concerned about getting the paint protection film on there because it's already filthy. It's been raining almost nonstop since I got the car. I mean, it's only been like 2 or 3 days it has not rained since I got the car. And so it's already filthy. That's something I need to do today is go out and clean it. I actually bought some new cleaning supplies. I've got a bucket with car wash stuff, but it's super old. And so I was like, you know, let's get rid of that. I started fresh. So I need to clean that off today. And but I do want to get that paint protection film on there, especially before I take any road trips. I want to go see my dad, and I will definitely record his reaction to it because he's been almost as excited about this whole thing as I've been. He's been, I mean, like in the days leading up to it, it was like 2 more days. Getting text from him, 1 more day. So that was all funny, and I've called and talked to him. I'm like, Dad, you got to see this car. It's just so crazy. But I've been showing it to some friends here and there. The response has always been really good. Everybody's just blown away by how different it is in every respect. And the glass roof is what gets people. They get in, there's like, wow. And I'm like, yeah. And it's something I don't even think about anymore. But yeah, everybody's... And what's really always cracked me up is, like, and even the guy at the Tesla dealership did this. When they look in the frunk, which I hate that word, frunk, but when they look in the front trunk, there's these little hooks for grocery bags that they just kind of pop out. And for some reason, in every Tesla video that I've seen, every review, they're always looking, look at these hooks for grocery bags. And everybody's like, oh, wow, that's so cool. My last car had that. My last car had a little hook that came down the trunk and you could hang your grocery bags on it. And it was neat. But it's just funny that everybody focuses on that. I got a couple of guys, and I may share this. I did record it. I may share that on this channel. I was planning on sharing some of my little drives with people so you can get their reactions and stuff. I'll have to go find it. But anyway, I picked up some former coworkers of mine. Then we went to lunch, and one of the things that he kept going on about was the clothes hangers that pop down. You know, they always have that in the back seat. I guess this one, it just kind of like folds out really slowly. It's on kind of an articulated hinge or whatever. And he was just fascinated by that. I was like, oh, look how this folds out. That's so cool. And he was fascinated by the lights. Oh, the lights kind of fade in and out. And I'm like, that's what you're focused on? That's such a pedantic thing. So that's just funny to me. The things that people focus on, it just cracks me up. But anyway, something that is kind of interesting, if you watch the Thursday video, one of my buddies, Kareem, sorry, I keep clearing my throat. He came with us to pick up the car. He called me a couple days later, and I was literally, I'd gone to a car wash where they detailed my old car, and was getting ready to take it to CarMax because it actually got broken into, sitting out in the street in front of my house. I hate to think that I live in a neighborhood where I can't park a car in front of my house for more than a few days without it getting broken into, but apparently that is exactly the neighborhood I live in. But yeah, somebody broke into the car. Luckily, as you guys saw in the video, I cleaned it all out completely. There was only one place that I hadn't cleaned out, and that was in the driver's side door, that cargo spot right there. And it was nothing but like straw wrappers and receipts and napkins and gross stuff like that. But somebody had gotten into the car and like rummaged through that looking for money. I'm sure they were sorely disappointed. Luckily, they didn't break a window or anything because luckily the door doesn't really lock. One of the reasons I was ready to get a new car. But anyway, when that happened, I was like, okay, it's probably time to go ahead and sell this car. I was hanging on to it just in case, but that was like, okay, done. So anyway, yeah, I got into the place, got into details, all cleaned up, hasn't looked this nice in forever. And I got home and I was already like texting the guy at CarMax. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna come out there this afternoon. And so Kareem calls me up and he was just asking about if I had gotten some footage that he had shot. And I'm like, oh yeah, we're good. And then we get started talking, and he's asking about the old car and what my plans are with it, and I told him, and he asked what I was going to ask for price-wise, and I told him, and he was like, well, I'll buy it from you. I'm like, really? And he goes, yeah. And he basically, long story short, he has 2 kids. He's divorced, but he has 2 kids, and they come and go. But he doesn't have really a good vehicle to drive the kids around in. And he was like, yeah, I'll just drive it around town, and it's just for the kids. And so anyway, we worked it out, and he's going to pick it up later this week. And that was just a really funny thing. I was literally like an hour away from going to CarMax and selling it, and he just happened to catch me. And that's fine with me, because then I can go visit it. I can go visit my old car. Had that baby forever. But anyway, so that's what's going on with me right now. I'm going to be more regular about posting this week. Apologies that I disappeared last week, but hope you guys are all doing well. Yesterday's video on the Dragon is doing really, really good. Doing good. I got a new video on Thursday that's going to be for the Patreon people. They're answering questions from Patreon people, but and another lightning round video coming. So that's what's going on in my life. And hope you guys are doing well. I will catch you tomorrow. Bye.